Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/slash Tales from Tech Support. In today's episode, when turning it off and back on does not work, you don't have to report this. Your CEO. Your CEO. Your CEO. Your CEO. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. When turning it off and back on does not work. At my workplace, there are some industrial control systems, including relatively new ones, where if they are power cycled, they will reset back to factory default settings. I have joked in the past that a ransomware operator could simply threaten to power cycle the entire facility, e.g., have a compromised server broadcast reboot commands, and that would cause quite a bit of chaos if they did that. I know the backup batteries in those systems are healthy. The issue is that the programmable logic controller programming didn't properly utilize specific memory addresses that are backed by battery power and instead stored important data in the unprotected memory addresses. A recently installed system that was under warranty was randomly throwing alarms and halting. The vendor's technician came over to our site and couldn't determine what was causing the alarms to randomly go off. He suggested power cycling the machine. I told him that every 30 seconds of unscheduled downtime will cost the company several $1,000s. I offered to help him talk to my management to find an available block of time so that we didn't have to worry about an excessive downtime, but he argued it won't take long. I told him to talk to my department manager. He convinced him that the machine would be back up and running in just a few minutes after power cycling it and got the go-ahead. He power cycled it after putting the machine in a safe neutral position. His machine's configs were wiped clean. He asked me if we had a backup of the machine's programming, and I told him management doesn't keep backups of machines that are under warranty because they assumed the vendors would have them. Surely your company has a backup of the machine that they are providing warranty support for? My supervisor came walking over to ask how long it would take for the machine to be up and running again. In the aftermath, the vendor was forced to eat the full cost of the lost production time when my company's legal department ended up joining the email conversation to explain to the vendor of their own warranty policy after the vendor tried to skate away from that mess. So, basically the machine's configs are stored on the RAM? This sounds like a disaster waiting to happen. Pretty sure it did happen. But yeah, that's horrifying. Technically, it has already happened. I mean, even if it's under double secret warranty on keeping backups of the configs, some idiot might power cycle it. Totally this. Unless the warranty also contains some sort of management service where the vendor was maintaining the config as well and/or config backups were specifically mentioned in the service agreement, it pretty much always falls under the responsibility of the end user to have taken config backups for recovery purposes. Though I suspect that in this case the technician was considered at fault as it was them that technically lost the config by power cycling, and the first move before doing any T0GN like that would be to take a backup. Maxim41, do you have a backup? Means I can't fix this. A smart tech verifies the existence of backups before making changes. This doesn't really make sense. I am an industrial mechanic, where a lot machines revert back to the program defaults when restarted. It just goes back to whatever the maintenance/engineer/etc. programmed for that specific program. This is set up like this so operators aren't changing main parameters that will stop the machine. Thus, we can restart the machine after operators have made changes in order to get to a known good configuration. Think deep freeze program for public access computers. PLCs aren't generally changed unless there is a significant change in operation or change of equipment. We keep a backup program of every single PLC program, every machine that can be digitally transferred to a HDD, and a spare HDD or SSD, with the program already installed for each machine. Downtime is $, and our customers will find a different manufacturer if we can't provide. Moreover, the major machines manufacturer we use have remote access to those machines and can push updates or programs, assuming computer and HDD are good. If time is $, then the company should mitigate downtime regardless of warranty status, and just like being in the IT world, or college, business, etc., regularly save and back up your work. Those who fail to plan to fail. Tom Knight and the Lisp machine. A novice was trying to fix a broken Lisp machine by turning the power off and on. Knight, seeing what the student was doing, spoke sternly. You cannot fix a machine by just power cycling it with no understanding of what is going wrong. Knight turned the machine off and on. The machine worked. This is pure truth. But not going after the brains that created such genius config with zero contingency? And we're talking about vital ones on which production relies? Yeah, next level smart. Can't wait for the next drama, which is just waiting to happen, and more surprise Pikachu faces from management. That would be the vendors, I imagine? Winky face. We had that with a machine I was working on, but it was just that the internal battery was dead, so they wouldn't save settings. Company's solution was to never turn it off. Even for daily cleaning we couldn't lock out the machine. Oh, that's totally safe. I hated dealing with systems that didn't have the ability to back up the config. You had to rely on a CR2032 onboard 3.2V battery to keep the RAM energized during a power cycling event. At least it wasn't some oddball battery soldered on. I program PLCs, and there are two main failure modes with PLC programs, especially on older controllers. Until the last 15 years or so, it was common for PLC manufacturers to store all the files in memory. To ensure that the PLCs could be power cycled, a small battery is added to keep power to the memory. Some were a small coin battery, some manufacturers used a proprietary 3-volt battery. Some other PLCs I'd used have a flash card where you can optionally store a startup program, which sounds similar to the OP's post. The problem is that the PLCs that rely on batteries to keep the program in memory are between 15 and 30 years old now. Guess how often batteries are replaced by maintenance? If you guessed never, you're correct. Eventually the critical machine is taken offline for maintenance, the batteries are dead, and the PLC loses its code. Whoops! The other failure mode is that if you program the PLC to always load from an SD card, and you don't actually put a program on that SD card, or put an outdated code version on there, on startup the PLC will happily load what's on the SD card, nothing. Most companies have some backup procedure for PLC code in place, but oftentimes these backups are only taken when a physical change is made to a machine, and not when an operator tweaks a PID loop, or adjusts a set point to get the machine running well. The real headache when you lose and have to reload a program is that many times all these little tweaks never got written down, and the operators will have to spend a couple weeks testing and tweaking set points that were finalized years prior by a wizened old sage who has since retired. I keep joking all I know about PLC is how to delete. You don't have to report this. Hello again all. Today I have returned with another story. This one is on the shorter side though. The cast for this one is me, your humble narrator and the hero of this anime. User, the brilliant mind who tried to beat the system. Our story begins on a Thursday morning, and I happen to get a fairly routine call that should have been an easy fix. Keyword, should've. The call goes as follows. Me, service desk, my name is Ian Thief, can I have your employee ID number? User, provides ID. Me, alright sir, how can I help you today? User, my Teams isn't working, I'm getting an error message. Me, alright, that's definitely something I can get fixed for you, can I have your 10.98 number? What we call the assigned local IP of their computers, the 10.98 number to simplify what we're asking for. Me, okay sir, can you show me the issue just so I can see if and make sure we're on the same page? User, of course. He proceeds to pull up Teams, and sure enough, he had the error I was expecting. This error is very common and insanely easy to fix on top of it. The fix involves going into Windows settings and removing and re-adding the work/school account. As I do this, I notice a personal account on the machine. This, of course, is a big no-no, so I go ahead and remove it. Not but a few seconds after removing it, the user begins to scold me. User, why did you not ask before removing that account? Me, because it's a personal account and doesn't need to be on this computer, sir, per our security policy. User, but you didn't ask me why it was there in the first place. Me, as I mentioned, sir, it's against our security policy regardless of your reason. But I do have to ask why. User, I use it for work purposes if the system goes down. Me, kinda shocked, can you repeat that? User, I use the personal account that you deleted so rudely for work if the system goes down so I can keep working. Now I was shocked by how confident this person was, that he was, like he thought he was playing 5D chess in the year 3021 or something. Unfortunately for him, I really enjoy when users are overconfident about fixes they try. Because I really love destroying that confidence. Me, as I said, sir, you can't have that personal account on your device for security reasons. Now that I know that you've been using said personal account for work purposes, I will have to inform your supervisor. User, playing it cool, nah, you don't have to tell my manager. Me, unfortunately, sir, I do. You've been breaking security protocol by using that personal account for work purposes. Regardless of any data sent using that email, it still flies in the face of the security policies set by, insert company name here. User, still trying to play it cool, well, if you have to tell them, then do it. I know I'm in the right here. The call ends after I get the user's issue resolved. I then got all the necessary information and forwarded it all through the proper channels. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened to the user. If I had to guess, I'd say a very light slap on the wrist and a don't do it again. I hope you all enjoyed the story. While I suspect his reasoning to be a lie, said reasoning, so I could keep working, is pretty stupid too. If the system is down, I have an excuse to do not do work, those don't come around often. If the system is down, I have an excuse to do not do work, those don't come around often. You need the team that manages our VPN then, those Muppets seem to drop it a dozen times a day. Rotful. Please take my upvote. I'd say a very light slap on the wrist and a don't do it again. In my experience, it'll be more along the lines of users shouldn't be punished for their diligence. 2 weeks later, Viaduct Email were proud to announce that due to their diligence and exceptional hard work, user has been promoted to supervisor. Yeah, unfortunately our users are treated like babies, and they're almost all union, so they almost never receive punishment. Hopefully a kicked upstairs promotion. Because I really love destroying that confidence. I mean, I get it, we all like knowing things that other people don't, but this kind of mentality is harmful for you and your users. In some rare cases a user does need to be corrected, but trying to make them feel stupid is sort of the opposite of what we should all be striving for. Making them feel stupid for having a problem is not cool. Making them feel stupid for insisting the rules don't apply to them? That's open season. I thought the same thing when I read this. I go to great lengths to not talk over people's heads or make anyone feel stupid. Not exactly the same, but I had a user who ironically was a security compliance officer for my place of work, and she had installed Norton 360 on her work machine. She called in saying her PC was slow, so I remoted in, and our policy is to not mess with our security software, but she had uninstalled our software and installed Norton 360. I proceed to remove it, and she has a mini meltdown saying I didn't say you can do that. I just tell her that per policy we have our own AV solution, and to not install Norton again. I removed some other junk too and told her if she doesn't be more responsible with her system, her local admin rights will be revoked. We give a shocking number of users local admin where I work because in their departments they all seem to have software they have to use that requires frequent updates, and to install these updates they need local admin. If we didn't give them admin, we'd be up to our ears in tickets involving simply entering an admin pass and leaving. Fast forward 2 months and she's calling and crying slow computer again, and I found that she had done everything we specifically instructed her not to do. Norton was back, so it was bye-bye admin privileges for her. A very light slap on the wrist, and a don't do it again. Unless he was just some part-time intern, most likely this is the case. Many places operate on a 3 strikes policy when it comes to things like this, despite that this kind of nonsense is the kind of thing that allows all kinds of data breaches to happen. My brother once had a user who had disabled some of the security applications on their system. My brother had a bot that would reach out and automatically re-enable the security, as well as place a notice in their account. 24 hours later, the applications were disabled again, and at the second strike, my brother, personally, logs into the machine and re-enables the security systems. That following Monday, once again, the security was disabled, so this time around, my brother repeats the previous step, but takes extra steps to help prevent the security from being disabled again, as well as notifying the person's manager of the ongoing issue. When the security was disabled again, only 2 days later, that starts a string of dominoes falling. The first is the user gets locked out of the system and network. Then, his manager, his manager's manager, and HR are all notified. The next domino in the line is the start of an insider threat investigation. It turns out that the former employee was disabling the security systems on his work computer so that he could install and play World of Warcraft as well as bypass the proxy blocks on the Battle.net website, all while at work. You can set up a GPO to block this if that is desired. We had the exact same issues with our users. GPO is the answer to all such problems. Shut that sh*t down, lol. This setting is managed by your administrator. I work in risk management, and you did the right thing when you reported this. However, there should be controls in place through GPO to prevent the ability to add personal accounts. Relying on individual users is insufficient. Ideally, forwarding to the proper channels includes compliance/risk teams, so that they can implement preventative controls at the system level. To sidetrack just for one teensy-weensy second off topic, can we all agree that Teams is a piece of crap? Teams is hot garbage for sure. Try that argument in the medical sector and watch the auditors give you more than a slap on the wrist. Now you don't have to tell my manager. Right, I should probably CC HR and the DPO */ depending on your location. Your CEO. Your CEO. Your CEO. Your CEO. This is possibly the most underdeveloped customer I've ever seen. I feel like this could be a supervillain origin story, or the start of anti-tech support Batman. I'm surprised this individual can function in society at all. User submits a feature request. Customer support explains how the existing functionality works. User unhappy. User, read this very carefully. I know how CSAT works. It's your bread and butter, right? Yep, I used to work in a call center too. I will chat every day and give a 0 ratings to all until it reaches your CEO. Right. Your CEO. 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 User, I am gonna get all of you in trouble. I promise. Winky face emoji. Some people really should be kept away from computers. It's not a computer problem, some people should not be allowed to interact with the rest of us reasonable people, simple as that. It's called lobotomy. Or we should be allowed to find them. Let me guess, User, I want the software to do X. Support, it can already do X, here's how to make it do X. User, yes, but I like my way better, and you'd better make the feature the way I want it, or I'm having you all fired. Or, yes, but I want the software to do X. You're not listening, and I'll have you all fired. Whine on. But that takes 3 clicks. Make it 1 click max since I'm lazy IE. Whine off. I deal with this every day. Learn to use the program that does what you want even if it's not the way you want. Friend of mine worked at a place that had a customer like this. In the end they kinda got what they wanted. It was brought to the attention of the CEO, 'cause he was the one who had to sign off on tearing up support contracts. Customer got a very polite letter informing them that they were no longer entitled to phone support, that the company was more than happy to help them move to a competitor, but that all future correspondence would need to be by post via the company's legal team. Oh man. Used to work for a client that had that SOP. CX threatens legal action or some other. Here's the contact info of the legal team. Click. And that is when you send this to legal/security to get that customer, or that particular man-child, banned from support. Back in my dial-up ISP days we had a user that had to be declared ineligible for support. He was full of crazy angry rants, but the last straw was when he called up and berated some poor rep because he blamed our software for deleting the color red from his computer. OP should consider notifying local mental health services. You never know if people like that have stopped taking their meds and start posing a threat to themselves or others. Dear valued customer, thank you for your feedback. Your request will be given the attention it deserves. Send. Delete email thread. Technically, nobody lied. The answer to this is to immediately send the email to your manager, the client's account manager, the user's manager, and if necessary /possible your CEO. You are not paid to take sh*t from idiots, that's management's/sales job. When I am asked to do training calls now I always ask for the name of someone high up enough that if they start F*king around I can just CC them into mail trails and watch as the whining user suddenly has nothing further to add. And let your WA know. More than once my QA fired customers. Ha 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 ha, the joke's on you, sh*tty customer. While I'd love a CSAT, the requirements from my team are such that SATs take a backseat to a timely resolution, and sales are a very very distant third. Way back there. And if it's fixed but you refuse to let the case be closed? Resolved, customer did not confirm. Oh, but you won't let me fix it. Not resolved, customer refused to investigate. There are many ways for me to get rid of you. Yeah, when I worked at an ISP, if there were unusually low CSAT ratings like that, they'd review the call, see that the customer is just being a brat, and not count their rating against you. I used to have a customer like this, but it was a commercial relationship, not a support relationship. Fortunately, the CEO and VP sales used to listen politely and then ignore it. CSAT. You wouldn't happen to work for Pair? CSAT is a super common metric. Every company I've worked at has customer satisfaction as a metric. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.